Welcome back to another episode of Titletown Talk. I'm your host, Jackson Tolliver. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today. We have some good things, some bad things to go over. It is Friday today. I'm sorry I didn't record yesterday. For those of you who are unaware, I'm currently a senior about to graduate at Emerson College, and there were some pretty tragic events that took place on Wednesday night going into Thursday. I won't get into it too much, but you probably already know. There were some pro-Palestinian protesters who were... Over 100 students were arrested by the Emerson College Police Department. If you watched those videos, regardless of what you believe, that type of brutality, there was blood everywhere. Students are reporting injuries. That type of, like the police were in riot gear. It's just too much for a peaceful protest, regardless of what side you're on, what you believe about them protesting. If you're pro-Palestine, pro-Israel, none of it matters. That should never happen. What happened a couple nights ago. So it didn't feel quite right to record an episode yesterday, but here we are now that, things have sort of cooled off a little bit. And let's get right into it. I mean, to be honest, if it wasn't such an important weekend, I probably wouldn't record at all, just because of the timing of everything. But there is so much going on, starting with a new quarterback in town. That is right. Last night, the New England Patriots drafted Drake Maye with the 3rd overall pick, quarterback out of University of North Carolina. And I couldn't be happier, to be honest with you. Now, I know a lot of you, if you've been around with the podcast for a long time, know I was really high on Jayden Daniels. And in my first ever episode of this podcast, I said if the Patriots didn't draft Jayden Daniels, it would be a total failure of a draft. Now, when I recorded this and when I said this, I was under the impression that Drake Maye was a lock it too. I think a lot of people were. That's what the buzz was, that Drake Maye would be picked by Washington number 2, and then the Patriots would be left to either select Daniels or go with somebody else, or, whatever it's going to be. That is why I made that statement saying if they don't take Jayden Daniels, it's going to be a failure. I didn't want them to trade down, take McCarthy, take Marvin Harrison, anything like that. Quarterback is the most important position. Draft the best quarterback available. But with that being said, now that I know that Jayden Daniels obviously wasn't available, I am beyond happy that the Patriots did make the selection of Drake Maye at number 3. Now, yes, he is raw. Yes, he doesn't have a ton of experience compared to the other guys. Yes, he has some footwork problems. He's a young guy, but the talent is there. The potential is there. The upside is there, which is why he was picked so highly. He can make great throws over the middle. He has great arm strength, great accuracy. He can move. He can scramble for a first down. If you want a really good in-depth analysis of his game, I would check out Bill Belichick on the Pat McAfee show yesterday, which is infuriating to watch and infuriating for me to say that Bill Belichick gave a great analysis of Drake Maye, but he had a lot of fair points. A lot of the stuff I just said, Bill Belichick also said his footwork needs work. He pointed out some of the flaws with this game. It makes you think that Belichick probably wouldn't have taken him. I think Belichick would have traded down if he was still in charge. But this is a new era. It's a new time for the New England Patriots. They're going to take the best available. They're not going to play these games that Belichick used to play where they would trade down, they would look to, get more picks or figure out a way, like they would get too cute is what it came down to. And now they don't. You take the best guy at number 3. This is the first time they've had a number 3 pick in like almost 30 years, I want to say. Maybe more than 30 years. So, this is a great opportunity for you. They took Drake Maye. I'm really happy with it. Just touched down in Foxborough this morning, did his introductory press conference, confirmed he will wear number 10 for the Patriots. Talked about, the impact of his brothers, being the youngest of all of them. They seem like great guys. He seems like a really nice kid. And I like that. He seems like a very likable guy. I think the Patriots fans will love him. Then again, Mac Jones seemed like a very likable kid, so that doesn't go for much. Obviously, the most important thing is going to be his play on the field. Now, the question, of course, now remains, will he start week 1? I don't think so. I think Jacoby Brissett is still going to be the Patriots starter week 1 because I think that Drake Maye has to develop under him and has to get better. That being said, I think a lot of people thought that Cam Newton was going to be the starter when Mac Jones came to town, and Belichick was more impressed with Jones, and he got the start week 1. Cam Newton was cut. So I'm not saying that'll happen in this situation. They're not going to cut Jacoby Brissett before he's played a snap for the Patriots after re-signing with them. I highly doubt it. But you never know what could happen, right? Drake Maye could blow people's heads Drake Maye could blow people's heads away in training camp and just take that starting job. It it is there for the taking. And it's going to be his eventually. Let's not play around or beat around the bush here. It's going to be Drake Maye's job eventually, whether that's, week 1, week 6, week 10. It's going to be some point this season, unless Jacoby Brissett just comes and has a, absolute renaissance, like a Geno Smith style season. I think Jacoby Brissett is better at this point than Geno Smith was before he got to Seattle, but with that being said, it would take a remarkable season for New England to not move forward with their young guy here. He would have to have a tremendous record with the Patriots. I just don't see that happening realistically. I think Jacoby Brissett is a placeholder. I think he knows he's a placeholder. I hope he does well, and I always want the Patriots to win. So I hope he does well. I just don't see that happening. I see Drake Maye eventually taking the reins under center and being the guy. So I'm really excited about this pick. It's tough to say if I would have liked Jaden Daniels better. The numbers are just so much better for Jaden Daniels, but as so many people say, he had, way better weapons. Both of the receivers, of his top 2 receivers, were drafted in the first round yesterday. Drake Maye's receivers, you're not even going to see them close to there. So, the weapons factor is a real thing, but Jaden Daniels has great ball security. He's a very explosive player. He's fun to watch. I would have loved having him in New England, but we don't have him. We have Drake Maye, and I think everyone should just strap in and be happy about this move, because what's the point in complaining? I know some people wanted Marvin Harrison Jr. Who's going to throw to him? And I know that the point becomes, well, we saw what happened to Mac Jones when he didn't have weapons. This is Mac Jones 2.0. This is Mitch Trubisky 2.0. Just give the kid a chance, man. I mean, what do you have to lose? The Patriots were 4-13 last year. Give the kid a chance. You have nothing to lose. You have a new coach. You have a new front office. This is the time to start a rebuild, and this is the guy that they're going to rebuild around, Drake Maye. So I expect great things from him. I'm going to be an optimist in this situation. I do think that he will either be really great or really bad. I don't think there's a middle ground with him. I don't see him being a middle of the pack quarterback. I see a really high ceiling and a really low floor, and not much wiggle room between those two things. So I'm going to hold out hope that he's going to be good. I have great faith he's going to be good. The scouts love him, despite a few things that he can clean up. None of his problems are things that you can't work on or can't clean up. It's like his footwork or his decision-making sometimes. Those are things that you can instill in a player. It's not like his problem is his speed or his toughness or his physicality or his accuracy or his arm strength. He has all these abilities already, and he makes great reads. He has good pocket presence. He does sometimes leave the pocket a little bit too early and start on the scrambles, as Belichick was, I believe it was Belichick was saying that last night. And if you watch the film, you do see that sometimes. He rushes. He's going to make rookie quarterback mistakes. He's going to, it's not going to be pretty early on, but have faith that this kid will develop. I really believe in him, and I think everyone should just hop on the train, because what other choice do you have? What, are you going to sit there and be miserable because they didn't get Marvin Harrison? Marvin Harrison's going to be a great player. I don't doubt it. But who do you want throwing to him? Jacoby Brissett forever? It's and next year's draft class is not nearly as good in terms of the quarterback position or really any position. This year's draft class is remarkable at a lot of positions, not so much on defense. I believe it was 14 straight offensive players were taken, which was an NFL record in the first round. So defense isn't great this year, but quarterback position, great this year. 6 quarterbacks taken in the top 12. This is the year to do it. I'm glad that they did it. And Drake Maye, I wish him all the best in New England, and I will be rooting for him. I will be duct taping over the back of my Mac Jones jersey and writing Maye on the back before I actually go out and buy a new one. Mac Jones is out. We are in a new era in New England, and I could not be more excited. Let's shift our focus to what's going on right now, because the Patriots obviously aren't going to ramp up training camp until the summer, and they're not going to play until September. We do have 2 teams in the playoffs right now that I've been talking about ad nauseum on this podcast. Let's start with the bummer, the Celtics losing game 2. I think I, as well as many other Celtics fans, analysts, players even, people in the building, got a little too cocky. All the credit goes to Miami for what they did to the Boston Celtics on Wednesday night, winning game 2 with the final score of 111-101. Celtics had the lead at half, but it was a close one. They only led by 3 points after a 11-3 Jaylen Brown run to get them to that position. But you could tell it wasn't going to be a runaway. Third quarter went badly for the Celtics. They ended up trailing by 6, I believe, going into the fourth quarter, and they just couldn't figure it out. They couldn't piece it together, and I saw so many old habits that infuriated me. Now, maybe it's because Drew and Kristaps couldn't really get anything going on offense for whatever reason in this game. This was Kristaps Porzingis' worst game as a Celtic. He had 6 points on 1 for 9 shooting, 0 for 4 from 3, 2 turnovers with a minus 32, plus minus. That's brutal. That is by far and away his worst game as a Celtic so far. So I think this is an anomaly. He was great in game 1. He's been great all season. I don't see a reason why he's going to ever do this again. And then Drew Holiday, 4 for 12. He did have a good plus minus, plus 10. He was making some good plays on defense. 2 steals, 1 block. But he couldn't really get anything going in terms of scoring or playmaking even. He only had 2 assists. Like, Kristaps had more assists than Drew. So plus minus is a weird thing. He had the best plus minus on the team, but I don't think anyone would walk away from that game saying that he had a good outing for sure. So I think this is why the Celtics sort of reverted back into their old iso ball technique, because Jalen and Jason had it going. Jason Tatum, 28 points, 10 for 20. That's 50% from the field. Jaylen Brown, 33, led all the scorers on the Celtics, 13 for 23. So, like, these guys were hot. They had it going. So I feel like they went back into that mode that they were in for so many stretches of their careers, pre-Kristaps and pre-Drew, where it was just iso ball. It was hero ball. It was, I'm going to take over. I'm going to play iso. And that's exactly what Miami wants, to be frank, because that is not when the Celtics beat you. They don't beat you through iso ball anymore. That's not this team. They beat you through great ball movement, great transition offense, great defense. The defense was atrocious, by the way. The 3-point defense was ridiculous. They should be ashamed of themselves. They gave up. Miami was able to hit 53.5% from 3 on a franchise record number of makes, 23. I believe it was a franchise record. It might be a franchise postseason record, but 23 made threes compared to the Celtics' 12. Almost double the amount of threes that the Celtics made. That's what the Celtics are usually supposed to do to teams. They're the ones that use the three-point line to their advantage. They're the ones that outscore you from the three-point line. And it just was not happening. And it wasn't even that the Celtics were, like, the Celtics shot 37.5, which isn't great for them, but it was the volume. Miami was forcing them off of the three-point line, causing them to come into the paint and do things in an uncomfortable way for them. They didn't play the game that they usually play. I believe it was the 3rd lowest three-point attempts that they've had all season. Credit to Eric Spoelstra and credit to Miami, and this brings me to my point, which just gets me so frustrated. For those people who don't say that coaching matters in the NBA, explain this series to me. Explain last year's series to me. The Celtics have always been a more talented team than the Miami Heat, but for whatever reason, actually, it's not for whatever reason, I think I know the reason, they lost last year, and they lost a game this year with no Jimmy Butler, no Terry Rozier, no Josh Richardson, a far worse squad. The Celtics are better at every single position besides center. I will give that one to Bam over Kristaps. Every single other position, the Celtics are better. You could argue Tyler Hero over Drew, but what Drew brings you on defense, Tyler Hero couldn't even come close to. And Hero has some duds of games. The game 1 from Hero was a dud. This game was great from Tyler Hero. He had 14 assists. This was the best game I've ever seen him play as a playmaker. As a primary ball handler, he also shot 7 for 13 with 24 points. That's the highest scoring player on the team. The ball was just distributed really well. Welcome back to Boston. Caleb Martin, 21 points, 5 for 6 from 3. Celtics just wouldn't guard him. They wouldn't guard anybody on the 3. And the Heat, it's like they knew coming in that the Heat were going to shoot more threes too. They knew it because Eric Spoelstra even was saying, like they were saying that this was going to be their game plan. The Celtics knew this was going to happen. So why can't you just defend the perimeter? That is how you lost this game. You've lost home court advantage. This was supposed to be a sweep. And if you lose tomorrow night, if you lose Saturday night, oh man, you think people are scared now? You think Heat fans are feeling confident now? Imagine if they go up 2-1 on this team. If, by the grace of God, this team loses in the first round, oh my goodness, it will be the biggest disappointment, the biggest upset, the worst loss of a series in NBA history. There's no Jimmy Butler. There's no Terry Rozier. That's 2 of their best 3 players. Meanwhile, this Celtics team is one of the most stacked rosters in NBA history. It is the 4th best roster that the Celtics have ever fielded, arguably. You know, you put in all those Larry Bird years and all those Bill Russell years. This is like the 4th best one. They are 4th ever in net rating. Just ridiculous stats. If they somehow lose this first round, I don't see how they ever get back from that as an organization. But then again, this game, yes, it's game 2 in the first round. But all of these ugly problems are rearing their head outs. Joe Mazzulla can't make adjustments on the fly. He got embarrassed by Spoelstra. Just humiliated. Spoelstra ran circles around him. He can't make adjustments. Why did Kristaps Porzingis go back into the game when Horford was playing way better? Yes, Bam was kind of cooking him too, but he had a +8 in this game, and he was doing all the right things. He got the same amount of rebounds as Porzingis in less minutes. Like, Horford was the better play. Bench Porzingis. He was just getting absolutely destroyed. Couldn't make any adjustments. If you see Miami is hitting all these threes, you have to change the way you defend them. You have to change the way you're doing things. It is just absolutely infuriating. I feel like the Celtics team lacks that toughness, that grit. I don't trust them to come back in fourth quarters or in crunch time situations. When Miami was leading going into the fourth, I thought there was no chance the Celtics would win, and lo and behold, they didn't. They have to have such a commanding lead on teams by the fourth quarter for you to actually feel comfortable, for you to actually feel like they're going to win a game. And this is Miami. Yes, it's Erik Spoelstra. And after what I saw from the Cavs getting 50 bombed last night, if they can make it out of this round, they're going to be in the ECF against New York or Milwaukee or Indiana or Philly or whoever it is. And I think they can beat that team too. Because Erik Spoelstra is just this team's kryptonite because he takes advantage of what is frankly an inferior coaching staff in Boston. And not even a coaching staff because the Boston assistants are great. Charles Lee, Sam Cassell, they're all great. Mazzulla does not know how to make adjustments on the fly. And you have to know how to do that in playoff situations. But that's why you're in this situation now. That's why you're down, or sorry, not down yet. That's why I think they might be down 2-1 after tomorrow. I'm terrified as a Celtics fan. I don't think that they're going to, I just don't know how they're going to respond. And this is infuriating. Because just almost a week ago, we thought it was going to be brooms. The Celtics dominated them. We thought we were going to be sweeping them. And here we are tied 1-1, lost home court advantage. And the confidence is at an all-time low with this team. I've never felt less confident in this team after just one game. Because again, these problems are going to continue to haunt you. Yes, Kristaps won't have as bad of a game. Yes, Miami's not going to shoot like that again. Fingers crossed. I hope not. But then again, in crunch time, the Celtics had plenty of chances to go on a run. I believe they were down 6 with like 4 minutes to go. Get stops. They couldn't buy one. They couldn't buy a stop. Miami kept hitting threes. Just kept hitting. And the defense was lazy. The defense was refusing to change. They were all stuck in their ways. And I'm done with this attitude of we're just going to beat them with talent. We're going to beat them because we're better on paper. We're going to beat them because our record is better, because we're the 1 seed. How many times does Miami have to do this before you learn that nothing matters in a series with the Miami Heat? Nothing matters. Spoelstra is a tremendous coach. I think he's one of the best coaches of all time. And Joe Mazzulla, I don't think he's a bad coach, but Spoelstra knows how to beat him. It is simple as that. And if Jimmy Butler was in this series, yeah, I'd be quaking. Frankly, if Jimmy Butler was in this series, I would, especially after this game, be very concerned with the Celtics making it out of the first round. I still do believe they will make it out of this round. It's going to go to 6, or God forbid, even 7. But I think the Celtics will make it out because of their talent, because of their ability to handle adversity this year. They've never lost 3 in a row with this roster. But these problems are rearing their ugly heads, and I am terrified to face a Denver Nuggets, a Minnesota Timberwolves, a Los Angeles Clippers, an Oklahoma City Thunder, whoever it is in the finals, Dallas Mavericks. I'm terrified. I'm terrified the most of the Nuggets by far, because I think the Nuggets beat the Celtics in a 7-game series. I really do. If someone else can take care of the Nuggets, the Celtics have a much better chance. But they need to show me something tomorrow night. They need to show the world something tomorrow night. That they can win on the road. That they are a superior team. And if they don't, if they go down 2-1, it's crisis mode. It's panic mode. if this ends in the first round, this magical Celtics run, where they were by far and away the best team in the NBA, they had a 14-game lead on the second seed in the Eastern Conference. If this somehow ends in the first round, this franchise will never recover. This will be a disaster if they lose in the first or second round. So yeah, I'm bummed, but we have seen a team even it up 1-1 and come back to make it 2-1. That is the Boston Bruins, who at the same time as the Celtics were getting their butts kicked, beat the Toronto Maple Leafs with the final score of 4-2 on Wednesday night. Explosive third period for the Bruins was the difference maker. It was quiet in the first. I was nervous because it looked like they were falling into some of the same traps where the offense couldn't really get going. But the defense was great throughout the whole game. Held the Leafs to just 2 goals. I think that Swayman should be your goalie moving forward in this series. That's not to say that Ullmark had a bad game, per se, in Game 2, but he let in more goals than Swayman's, or I think it was the same amount of goals? No, was it 4 or 3 in that game? He's letting either the same amount of goals or more goals than Swayman has in these 2 games combined. He's been playing great. Let me get his exact numbers. 28 saves on 30 shots, 9.33 save percentage. It's good. And he wants to keep playing. I would keep him in there. I would stop shaking it up. You want to keep this stuff intact, I think. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You've won the 2 games with Swayman in net. Keep him in net. Now, shout out to Marchand. Because I'll be honest, I've had my doubts about Marchand throughout this season, and especially towards the end of it where he was really struggling. 2 goals in this one and an assist for 3 points. Yes, one of those goals was an empty netter to seal the game, but they all count. They all count. But I thought the Bruins overall, this looked like a different team than I saw in Game 2, especially in that third period. I thought they were more aggressive. They controlled the puck better. They had better time in their own zone. They were more disciplined defensively. They really played a great game in this one. And Boston needed it after the Celtics performance, frankly. They faced it, they challenged adversity. They battled back from adversity, rather. Tyler Bertuzzi, I believe, put the Leafs up 2-1, and the Bruins were able to tie it up and then win the game. I've mentioned throughout the whole season that I've had a problem with the Bruins playing from behind, because they haven't been able to show, in my opinion, that they are capable of playing from behind. That is when they found themselves losing games that they should be winning, finding themselves in tough situations. So I was really happy to see that. And this was just a great game. It was well coached in enemy territory. I don't see why they won't win the next one, which is also tomorrow night after the Celtics game at 8 p.m. I don't see why they won't win it. I think they should go with Swayman again. They got to get Pastrnak going. That's the other thing. Pastrnak scored 1 goal so far in this series. Pastrnak has been so widely disrespected by the media. ESPN ranked him as the 17th best player in this NHL postseason. And you're going against the best, Austin Matthews, by far and away the best player in the NHL right now. So I would love for Pasta to show up and announce himself in this series as just, I'm the guy on this team. This is my team, and we're not scared, and we're going to win this thing. And, if Pasta gets hot right now and Pasta becomes what the player that we know he can be and starts scoring goals in every game and, racking up points, the Bruins are going to be a tough team to beat. And Florida Panthers up 3-0 right now. I don't want to get too ahead of myself here, but if the Bruins can advance out of this series and get Florida in the next round, well, the Bruins have been good against Florida this year. Yes, Florida is the team that beat them last year, but I think that helps them more than hurts them because they're going to have that fire. They're going to have that chip on their shoulder. They're not going to take this team lightly. So all of a sudden, if the Bruins can win that series, it's the Eastern Conference Finals. It's not far-fetched. Bruins are up 2-1. I think they can wrap this thing up in 6 or 7. Because it is the Maple Leafs and because of the history of these two franchises, I think it will go to 7. I believe I said that last time. I think it is going to go to 7, but I don't see why the Bruins are going to be able to win it in 7 back at the Garden. The Game 2 loss, I'm trying to think when that was on Monday, right? Yeah, it was on Monday, and I didn't record. So we'll get into that as well. I don't think Ullmark played a bad game. And when I keep talking about how I want Swayman to be in the net, I don't think it's because Ullmark is bad. I just think you want to stick with what's working, and right now it's Swayman. You lose when you had Allmark in. You've won both times with Swayman. It is as simple as that. It really is. So I would keep Swayman in. But regardless, I feel like the offense and the control of this game was just off from the Bruins. They weren't playing their usual style of, you want to be fast paced. You want to get all the guys involved. And it was such a stark difference from game 1 to game 2. It just looked like they lost their confidence that they had. And yes, they only lost by 1 goal. But, it's also just being able to defend after you score. The Leafs scored just like 14 seconds after the Bruins scored that first goal. It was immediately tied. There goes your momentum that you had. It only lasted for a little bit. They just weren't, they weren't doing much well. Their special teams has been good throughout these 3 games. I will say that. They've killed off the power plays really well, and they have capitalized on some of those power plays. But the other thing I will say is that this Bruins team just needs to be better overall at controlling the tempo and controlling the pace of the game. That's how they're going to win the series. They have to have better time in their zone with the puck. They have to play better defense, which, frankly, they have in 2 of 3 of these games. And I don't think when they lost that game 2, it was the defense's fault as much as it was the offense's fault. They just couldn't get it going. And game 1, I think I said this last episode, is a game that the Maple Leafs should have won. They outshot the Bruins. I felt like they were the more controlling team. And then game 3, that flipped. So game 4, you want to stay on that front foot. You want to, make this a 3-1 lead, put your foot on their necks, and just, wrap this thing up or get close to wrapping this thing up. And I think you do that by really making sure that you control the game at your tempo. You're the one driving with the puck, and you're the one who's going to put the puck in the right place and score goals. It's simple as that. Score more goals than the other team, right? That's all you have to do. So, like I said, Bruins will be playing tomorrow after the Celtics game. I will anticipate I think it'll be tighter. I think it'll be a 2-1 win for whatever reason. I think if they play Swayman, I have faith they can hold them to 1 goal. And I think it's going to be tight again because you're in Toronto. This is basically a must-win game for them now before they have to go down 3-1 into Boston. That's not a favorable situation for any team to be in. So we'll see what happens. But I would take the Bruins to win this one handedly. That'll wrap things up. We have 2 more teams who are not in the playoffs and are playing right now. The Boston Red Sox we'll start with. 2-1 was the final series score. They lost that series to Cleveland. Their second game against Cleveland was phenomenal. 8-0 shutout victory. Hello. It was Cooper Criswell who got 3 strikeouts, Joely Rodriguez, and Zach Kelly. They had 7 Ks between the 3 of them. Didn't give up a run. Gave up 4 hits. Cooper Criswell, the starter, gave up 3 hits. But that was, I would say, the most surprising development, that they actually held Cleveland to 0 points in a game. This was just a tremendous showing. 2 homers from Connor Wong. His bat's been really hot this season so far. He's really picked up some of the slack of, battling with these different injuries that some of the hitters have had. So great for him. You saw 2 RBIs from Devers, 3 RBI from Connor Wong. Cedon Rafaela got a couple hits. Wilyer Abreu got 4 hits. Tyler O'Neill is back in the lineup. So this was a great showing, and a great sign for Red Sox fans to not get swept in this series and, keep it close. I mean, yesterday was a relatively close game. It was a Jose Ramirez grand slam that ultimately ended it with the Guardians winning 6-4. And the first game, the Red Sox offense can really get going. You can't blame them. They were, still they're still battling back from all these injuries. Let me look at these stats. I mean, Abreu got a homer. That was the only thing that they could get going for him. They didn't have Devers in this game. But now they're getting back to status quo with, barring Tristan Casas. We don't know how long he's going to be out. Brian Bayo going to the IL now. We don't know how long that's going to be. I believe it's quad tightness that's sending him there, so hopefully nothing too serious. But the pitching is, pretty barren. We still have Tanner Howick, who's been doing great this season so far, I think. Nick Pivetta, I believe, is going to get his rehab assignment soon if he hasn't already. I haven't checked. I should have checked. But he should be coming back into the fold relatively soon. Garrett Whitlock, we're not really quite sure yet. But, the Red Sox are treading water, to be honest with you. They're 14-12 now. They got the Cubs coming to town. They're back at Fenway tonight at 7. So, fingers crossed. I mean, the Cubs are 16-9. They look good this year. But I think the Red Sox can win this one 2-1. I don't know why. I'm just feeling it. And the Sox eventually had to start playing better at home, right? That's been a huge talking point, is that for whatever reason, they've been way better on the road than they have been at home. Now, yes, they started off that really good road stretch when Trevor Story was still in the lineup and they were fully healthy. Trevor Story going down, their record hasn't been great since then. That obviously hurts them pretty tremendously, and they've dealt with a ton of other injuries from the pitching rotation, the starting pitching rotation, and the batters as well, which is tough. That's always tough to see and bounce back from. But I don't see why they wouldn't be able to win at least 2 of these games at home. The Cubs aren't all that. I don't think. Yes, they have a better record. Yes, they've had a good start to this year, but I think the Red Sox can pull out 2. And then they got the Giants next, which I will talk about more on Sunday when I record my next episode, previewing that series. But, the thing with the Red Sox right now is that this is a stretch of the season where nobody really cares, because they're mid. Let's be honest. They're not great, but they're at least not terrible. I think a lot of people thought they'd be terrible. They have a winning record almost to May, which is a good sign, and hopefully the Red Sox can stay relevant when the Celtics and Bruins are done with their seasons, because that's all we're going to have to talk about on this show, and that's all Boston sports fans are going to have besides Patriots training camp wrapping up and the whole intrigue with Drake Maye, and, whatever else happens with that camp, and, free agency and everything. But that's beside the point. I'm rambling. The Red Sox are going to be the only team that we have through the summer, so I hope they can stay decent, stay in that wild card race. And again, I think they have the talent to do it if they can get some of these guys back. That's the most important thing. So yeah, this Cubs series, I will take the Red Sox winning 2-1. It's not going to be a sweep either way. They could also lose at 1-2. Hopefully they can get back some of their home game momentum. They got a home stretch here going until May 2nd, and then travel out to Minnesota. So this would be a great time to seize back some of that Fenway momentum and start winning games at home in front of the fans. That is indeed what it's all about. Now tomorrow is a big day as well, not just because of the playoff games, but at the same time, Lionel Messi will be coming to Gillette Stadium. Tickets are very expensive. It is easily the most expensive Revolution game I've ever seen in my life. But this is happening. Now, the Revolution did make a couple of moves this year. They signed Xavier Arriaga, defender. Decent, I guess. It doesn't move the needle for me. A lot of people thought they were going to move off of Dave Romney. They didn't. And I heard they were even asking for as little as like $100K. Did I miss something? Because Romney was the best Revolution defender last year by far. Does he just not get along with Caleb Porter? Yeah, he hasn't been great this season, but there's something there. Obviously, he played in every game for you last season, and he played well. So why would you want to dump him off for $100K? That doesn't make any sense to me. But they did hold on to him. Nobody outgoing for the Revolution of importance. Dylan Barrero may be back in this game. Obviously, he's been out since last year when he tore his ACL. That'd be a welcome addition. But let's be real, there's no way that the Revs pull this game off. Lionel Messi is going to come in and absolutely torch them. It will be fun. If you are lucky enough to be at Gillette Stadium tomorrow to watch this game, I'm envious of you. I'm not going to spend $300 to see the Revs lose. I've already seen Messi at Gillette when he was back there in 2015 during the Copa America. I digress. There's no way the Revs win this game. They have so many problems that they need to figure out. And funnily enough, I don't think the problem is the roster. I think it's just like the execution and the coaching. And like if you can't beat teams like Toronto, Chicago, I don't see how you beat Inter Miami. I just don't. So easy prediction here. I will go with Miami winning this one 3-0. Messi scores 2, gets an assist. He is just that good, and I fully expect him to take over in this game and just, dominate. But to be honest, I won't be paying much attention because we got playoff games going on. I don't think a lot of you guys will be paying much attention either, unless you are a diehard Revs fan or if you're a big Messi fan and not that into the Celtics and the Bruins, but I don't think you'd be listening to this podcast if that was you. So, yeah, it'll happen. Tune in during commercial breaks if you want, or have it on a phone or a laptop next to you. It like I will say, it is cool to have Messi play against your team. It hasn't happened for the Revs yet. I believe he was injured when they played them the second time around, and he wasn't there yet when they played them the first time, is what I believe it was last year. That was the scenario, but this is New England's first time playing against Messi. Caleb Porter said that he's not going to start anyone who will be awestruck by Messi. This guy's weird. I'm so done with him, man. He's such a weirdo. I'm just not a Caleb Porter fan at all. I don't think his tactics are good. I don't think he knows how to connect with the team at all. Everything I've seen from Caleb Porter so far has been not great. So yeah, that's that. I'll take Messi and Miami to win this one pretty handedly. Thanks so much for tuning in. As always, Title Town Talk. I am Jackson Tolliver. Whoa. Can I say my name right? Go Celtics, go Bruins, go Revs, go Red Sox. And Drake Maye is a Patriot. We finally have a new quarterback one. So hopefully this weekend can go well. Celtics need a win. Bruins would like a win. But the Celtics really, really need one. This is a huge game tomorrow night for them. If they go down 2-1, things are dire, as I've already said. Like I said, I'm Jackson Tolliver. I will see you on Sunday.